Join the Bhakti podcast with deep insights into all matters spiritual. Like and subscribe to keep up to date with your inner self.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his abode, he is all-pervading, and everything is situated within him.
Thank you. Amigenatimirandasya gananshanasalakaya jagshurulmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam yena bhūtale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Udapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Zakrajatam Zahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sachivam Sadvaitam Sabatutam Parichana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shivishakhan Scha Hey Krishna Garuna Sindhu Veena Bandhu Jagadapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostude Dr. Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpata Rupescha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, here, Lord Krishna is carrying on with his supremely wonderful and divine instructions. Krishna is greater than all. He is attainable by unalloyed devotion. Greater than all, God is greater than all. That is also shared in other religions. Like the Muslim world, they say Allah Akbar, Allah is great. Yeah, everybody knows. Christianity, everybody knows. God is great. But that is not very, it's a very preliminary feature. Of course, we're hearing through Bhagavad Gītā and we're hearing how great God is. Many cannot answer this question. Okay, how great is God? God is great. There's no question. There is nothing and no one greater. He is greater than everything and all. So we have lots of information from Bhagavad Gītā alone, from Srimad Bhagavatam, from the Vedic literatures, how great God is. Hours, days, years of reading, we could find out how great actually God is. The second point is, he is attainable by unalloyed devotion. Now, what is unalloyed? We know what is an alloy, a mixture of metals. And like these catals, for instance, and deities also, there's a mixture of metals. There is some brass, there is some silver, even some gold. The different metals mixed, that's an alloy. But unalloyed means pure. Unalloyed gold means nothing, unalloyed silver, nothing mixed into the silver. And there is a little story. When Srila Prabhupada was for some time in New York, and we had a group of devotees, his disciples, his first disciples. One day he said, let's go to the Commonwealth Pier. That is exactly where the Challaduta, the steamship, Srila Prabhupada came from India on the Challaduta, a freighter, not a beautiful passenger ship. He came on the Chaladutta, and that was also difficult to get a free passage because he had no money. He had a trunk of book and a few dollars. That's all. So he couldn't afford a passage. There was a very well-known entrepreneur, older lady, Sumati Muraji. She had a Cynthia Steamship Company, and they regularly traded with the US forth and back. And so Srila Prabhupada knew that, and he went to her office. She was a pious lady, no doubt. Sumati Muraji. And he presented his case. He said, my spiritual master has ordered me to go to the Western countries and to preach this Krishna Bhakti. When she heard this, she said, oh, Swamiji, these in the Western countries are all very demoniac people. Don't go there. Huh? You are in advanced age, a very advanced age. And you go abroad, you will die on the journey. You're not young anymore. You will die because it's a freighter, a freight ship. And there are big waves in the Atlantic Ocean. Very difficult. And so he left. She wouldn't give him a ticket, free ticket. And he came again. He asked again, and she tries to persuade him. No. Stay here in India. Stay in Vrindavan. Stay at your Radha Damodar temple. And that's your home. Don't go to the country of the demons. Of course, we know there's not only America, Europe, everywhere over the world is a very demoniac culture of all sinful habits possible. So eventually he had a sit-in on the steps of her office. He was not moving, sitting on the steps of her office, not moving until she agreed to give him a free ticket on the Chaladutta steamship, which she eventually did. She relented. So that was a steamship, a freighter. There was he had a cabin, yes, and but there was no luxuries there. And the crew were also nice, pious sailors. In fact, he induced everyone to celebrate Jamashtami, Krishna's appearance, on the steamship. And he personally cooked the feast for all the crew. And they chanted Hare Krishna, we can only imagine. And they celebrated very nicely Lord Krishna's appearance. Jamashtami. That's the name of Lord Krishna's appearance. Janma, birth. Ashtami is the 8th day. Astrological calculations. So then we came to America. And first of all, he had only one contact. Not just by writing. He was introduced to some families, the Agawals in Butler, Pennsylvania. So he stayed with them. They weren't even vegetarian. He had to share their fridge with his foodstuffs, and next to it was the meat. Or perhaps he had his own shelf, but in the same fridge. So he had to undergo all these austerities for the sake of preaching, of fulfilling the mission of his spiritual master, who told him by his first meeting he was dragged by a friend in India. He was dragged. He said, there's a very wonderful saintly person. Abba, you must come. You must come and see him and visit him. Rituan Prabhu, Hare Krishna, welcome. So, Srila Prabhupada, reluctantly, he came to the presence of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his spiritual master. And on that first meeting, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, "You are English educated gentlemen, why don't you preach this Krishna consciousness in the Western countries?" First meeting. And later on that was repeated on several other occasions, so he took it to heart. But he couldn't do that at the time. He was a householder, grihasta. He was a married person. So he couldn't take to just leave his family and go westwards and preach Krishna consciousness. So he had a lifetime, almost a lifetime in preparations. So much, much later, he became, of course, an official disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, his spiritual master. And interesting in that connection, when he met his spiritual master, he accepted him as his guru within his heart. The official formal Diksha initiation was much later on. And Srila Prabhupada said, this meeting my spiritual master, accepting him in my heart as my spiritual master, something happens there between Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and Srila Prabhupada. And he said, that was my real initiation. So the real initiation is not necessarily when the ceremony is performed, but when we accepting our spiritual master within our heart. That is a real initiation. And so, much, much later, when he had taken vanaprastha, renounced life, and then sannyas, fully renounced life, then he went to America. So in America, as we said, after some time he had his first disciples, and he went to that Commonwealth pier with a group of devotees. And we have been reading, when we're reading in Srila Prabhupada's books, unalloyed devotional service, like in this verse today, unalloyed devotion. It's a very important term. So he took them on that pier, and then he pointed to a big, big building, factory building, and on top was in big, big letters, unalloyed metals, something like that, metals, unalloyed metals. And the devotees understood. From that, Srila Prabhupada took inspiration of coining the term unalloyed devotion. There's many other terms which Srila Prabhupada invented, like you will not find in an Oxford dictionary, fruitive activities. But these terms gradually becoming mainstream, and eventually they will go in Oxford dictionary and. Fruitive activities, which is, of course, activities where we want to enjoy the fruit of those activities. So they're called fruitive activities. While Srila Prabhupada was in Butler, Pennsylvania with the Agarwal family, there many things happened there. He saw a little boy grow up, and we have a few photos of that time with Srila Prabhupada. He was just such a wonderful guest at their house. They really loved him dearly. It's one anecdote. Srila Prabhupada has never had any exposure to Western culture. So when he went into the bathroom to take a shower, then Mrs. Agarwal, she saw some water coming out through the door. He said, Swamiji, everything all right? Yes, yes. So eventually when he came out, the floor was all wet. And she asked, what happened, Swamiji? What happened? And then it turned out Srila Prabhupada filled the bathtub with water like he would do in India, filling a bucket with water. Then he crouched on the floor outside the bathtub, and with his lota, he put water over him. He had no idea that the bathtub, you go actually in the bathtub, and so on. So many things. And at another time, he went to the supermarket to buy some foodstuffs for cooking. And he had a beautiful brass 2-3-tier steamer. Very nice. I've seen pictures. Brass, like we have steamers, stainless steel steamers, or glass steamers, and all kind of steaming vegetables. Very nice. So he had 2 or 3, I don't remember, tier brass steamer, where he cooked the dal at the bottom, then some other preparations in the middle, and something on top. And that was, he brought that with him, his own cooking. He cooked always for himself. Sadhus cook for themselves. I cook for myself because there's nobody else to cook. On a Saturday, Vashana Mataji, she's cooking. So it's a feast. Well, I take that. So he was in the supermarket getting some ingredients, and then the cashier said, $10.20. And then Srila Prabhupada said, I give you $9.50. Because in India you bargain. That's normal. And the lady said, no, it's $10.20. No, okay, I give you $9.70. And it went forth and back. But he was so endearing that eventually the cashier let him have it for his bargain price. So that's just an example of Srila Prabhupada never been exposed to Western culture, and he had to all learn a lot. He learned a lot from his disciples as well, how to conduct business in the West. There is a beautiful photo with Srila Prabhupada walking in the rain in the winter. He was never experienced. In fact, it is said when he saw the first snow in New York, he thought someone had painted the city white. I never experienced snow. Just imagine you never experienced snow and you see white everywhere outside. Oh yes, someone has painted. And then is this beautiful picture where he walks in his coat and hat on, warm, but it was raining, and he had some kind of something over him to shield him, some raincoat. But what it actually is, you will, if you see that picture and you remember that story, you will see it was a shower curtain, a see-through shower curtain. So he walked with a shower curtain, whatever he could use. Not fancy, okay, I have to get a nice raincoat and a good Reebok or any good brand. No, Adidas, no, nothing of that sort. He utilized the shower curtain to shield him from the rain because he did his morning walks. And how did it come to his morning walks? He had, on that Chaladuta's journey, he had 2 heart attacks, but Krishna saved him. Krishna appeared to him. Krishna calmed him, and everything went all right. So, a doctor came in New York, where I don't know exactly where it was, and he checked his pulse and heart, and so eventually the doctor said, Swamiji, you have to walk. Sir, you have to walk. You're sitting all day long, sitting, that will do you no good. If you don't walk, you will die soon. And the doctor was a drunkard. So Srila Prabhupada took his advice. Because as we know, and as he says in his books, you can take gold even from a dirty place. So you can take good advice from a drunkard doctor. So from that day on, Srila Prabhupada had regularly his morning walk, without fail. That was institutionalized. Every morning, one morning walk. Every morning. Same time. In fact, Srila Prabhupada was so regulated in all his habits that when he was in one of the temples, it may have been Los Angeles even, he had two boys who kind of functioned as his bodyguards. One of them was Bhaskar. So Bhaskar said to his friend, devotee, one day, "Did you realize Srila Prabhupada comes every morning down from his room? His room was upstairs. He comes down. When he comes to the temple room, he takes off his slippers. He goes in the temple room, offers obeisances, takes some Charanamrita, the bathing water of the Lord, and then he comes out again, puts on his slippers, goes up the stairs, goes to his room, leaves the slippers outside, and goes in his room." So his friend said, "So, why are you telling me this?" "Well, I have seen the exact same slippers in a shop." The friend said, "So what? What are you trying to do?" He said, "I will get the very same slippers. And when Srila Prabhupada goes in the temple, I exchange these slippers with my slippers. And then Srila Prabhupada walks up with my slippers. And then when he goes in his room and leaves the slippers outside, I exchange it back to his slippers." "Wow, what a great idea," his friend said. "I also want to do that." So, because then Bhaskar had a pair of slippers worn by Srila Prabhupada, the pure devotee. And in the Shastra, everywhere it says, if we can gain the dust of the lotus feet of the spiritual master on our head, then we are so much blessed and fortunate. The dust of the lotus feet. And the lotus feet were in the slippers. And the slippers were, if we are in possession of Srila Prabhupada's slippers, he walked in only as far as from the temple room up to his rooms. And you're very fortunate. You have some maha prasadam. Great benedictions. So he did it one morning, exactly as planned. He bought the slippers. And Srila Prabhupada went in the temple room. He exchanged it with his slippers. Srila Prabhupada put on the slippers, went up to his room, but he didn't take the slippers off. He walked with the slippers straight into his room. Oh no. Bhaskar said, "What now? What now? I think I'm in trouble. What now?" And soon the secretary came out. "Is there a devotee named Bhaskar?" Yes. Srila Prabhupada wants to speak to you." He said, "So I have a message for you." Srila Prabhupada said, "Thank you for the new slippers. You can keep the old ones. But most of all, don't try to trick your spiritual master." Wow. What a pastime. And we have discussed it in the temple one year, long time ago. And I've come a conversation where the devotee is asking, "Srila Prabhupada, are you omniscient? Are you knowing everything?" Because obviously he knew. Somehow or other he knew that Bhaskar had exchanged the slippers. But the slippers looked exactly the same. So, Srila Prabhupada, are you omniscient? All-knowing? Srila Prabhupada said, "No, I'm not omniscient. I only know what Krishna wants me to know." What a beautiful answer is that. Srila Prabhupada is so intimately connected with Krishna. And Krishna wants him to know something, he will know. Okay, so it's just another pastime. There are innumerable pastimes. Whenever I go to France, And Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj is there, and Govinda Maharaj is there, and they're asking me to give a class. And last time he said, the next time you come, just Prabhupada Katha, please, we are eager, we want to hear these pastimes of Srila. And there is a nice compilation. It's called Memories of Srila Prabhupada by Siddhanta Prabhu. I have them all, 3 volumes. There might be more volumes in the future. Where Siddhanta Prabhu, by great austerity and a wonderful service, he went all around the world and collected all those memories of the devotees who had personal contact with Srila Prabhupada. That's not in the books, that's not in the letters, that's not in the conversations. Morning walks, nothing. So he collected all the memories of devotees. He recorded it, and then they're available on YouTube. Put in Memories of Srila Prabhupada. Once you listen, you cannot stop. And they're also available in Kindle format. I have them on my phone as Kindle books. They may be in print as well, I don't know. So in France, they want me to just speak about Srila Prabhupada's pastimes. Here we go. So, back to the verse. Unalloyed devotion. Then Lord Krishna says also, he is present in his abode. He is all-pervading. So Krishna is present. Where is he present? He's present in all the Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual world. Innumerable Vaikuntha planets. So many. Uncountable. In various Vishnu forms. How many expansions? How many avatars, incarnations are there? Srila Prabhupada gives the answer. As many as waves in the ocean. Uncountable. Innumerable. So that's interesting. And we, all of us, Jiva, living entities, we are also expansions, not direct expansions. We are also sparks of Krishna, part of Krishna, part and parcel. That's the right word. Part and parcel of Krishna. So besides all these Vaikuntha planets, where the different forms of Vishnu, and we had here in our verse today, we had a number of, by the way, Sergey, your Sanskrit is actually very nice. Your Sanskrit is very nice. I didn't expect that. So next time you read the Sanskrit. So here a few of those Vishnu expansions are mentioned: Puruṣaḥ, Drivigama, Keshava, Madhava, Aniruddha, Rishikesh, Sankara, Pradyumna, Shrita, Vasudeva, and so on and so on. So innumerable Vishnu forms. And the top planet in this Vaikuntha, in the spiritual sky, is Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna's own very spiritual planet. It's the highest planet in the spiritual world. And this Goloka Vrindavan has many petals where so many wonderful pastimes taking place, and that is where we as devotees and followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the footsteps of this Gaudiya Madhva, Vaishnava Sampradaya, Brahma Gaudiya Madhva, that is a gift of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that he has revealed the love of Krishna in Goloka. And the door is open through the different acharyas up to Srila Prabhupada, that we can aspire for this Goloka, the highest planet in the spiritual sky. That's our destiny. And we have spoken many times on various topics regarding Goloka, Vrindavan. So that is here mentioned in our verse. The Brahma Samhita is mentioned. That supreme abode of Krishna's. Or as we last week, we compared it to Vaikuntha is Krishna in the office and Goloka is Krishna at home. A very intimate atmosphere, right? If you go to someone's home, it's a different atmosphere than you go to him in the office. Formality in the office and intimacy at home. So Srila Prabhupada quotes a verse from Brahma Samhita. Ananda chinmaya rasa pratipavita pish tabhirya eva nicharupatala kalavi Goloka eva nivasatya kilatma bhuto govindamadi puruṣaḥ tamam vachami. Brahma Samhita, which was discovered by Lord Chaitanya on his tour to South India, and which has been translated by Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Ki Jai. And that book is published by the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust as Brahma Samhita. And the English in the translation and the English in the purports is a very difficult and high quality English. Not easy, if at all, to understand. So here's that verse from the Brahma Samhita, 537. It says, who is speaking? Lord Brahma is speaking. Lord Brahma, the architect of the universe, who resides on Brahma Loka, Satya Loka, the highest planet in the universe, who is only destroyed after 311 trillion and more years lifespan of Lord Brahma. So here's this Lord Brahma, who was born on the lotus coming from Garbhodakashayi, Vishnu's navel, the second Vishnu, Garbhodakashayi. From his navel, this Vishnu laid down in every universe created by Mahavishnu. Because if Krishna is not entering any universe, nothing will function. Nothing will. Therefore, Krishna also expands himself in every single atom. There is mentioned later on in the purport. Krishna is everywhere. In every single atom he is present in his Vishnu Murti. Not impersonally, very personally in his Vishnu form, Paramatma form. In every single atom. Therefore, everything is connected with Krishna. But we forget. That is our misfortune. We forget the connection with Krishna, and that is called Maya, illusion. And as soon as we remember the connection with Krishna constantly, whatever we do, Krishna gives some hint in Bhagavad Gītā. Where Krishna says, I am the taste of water. So whenever we're drinking some water, we remember Krishna. That's wonderful. Krishna is that taste of water. And being present in every single atom, so Krishna is everywhere. We have to learn to connect with Krishna. We have to learn to remember Krishna. Always. How often? Always. Manmana bhava madbhakta. Always think of me. What does always mean? It means always. Is it difficult? Not really. If we advance in Krishna consciousness, it becomes easier and easier and easier to be in Krishna consciousness. The consciousness of Krishna. So, Lord Brahma prays, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, residing in his own realm, Goloka, with Radha, resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of the ecstatic potency possessed with the 64 artistic activities. In the company of her confidantes, the Sakis, embodiments of the extensions of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa. So that text is not easy English, but just to give you a little bit of a glimpse of this Brahma Samhita. And Srila Prabhupada explains in his purport, this place, Goloka, is where everything is full of spiritual bliss, full of variegatedness. There's nothing material. Everything is totally spiritual energy. We have last time spoken about the three principal energies of Krishna: spiritual, his internal energy; marginal, we, the living entities; and material, the material objects of this world. Marginal, the example was given, like a stretch of land on the beach, sometimes overcome by water, sometimes land. What is it? Land, water? At different times is different. Like, therefore we fall under illusion. We overcome by illusion because we are just in between. In between means we have a material body, but within we are total spirit. Therefore, it is easy to be overcome by illusion, and because we are so tiny, tiny, small, little sparks. Then, Srila Prabhupada explains, regarding the material world, also Krishna is always in his supreme abode in Goloka. Nonetheless, all-pervading is all-pervading by his material energy in each and every atom. So therefore is present everywhere, both in the material and spiritual universes. And here is an important point. Srila Prabhupada explains. It is clearly stated here that only by bhakti or devotional service can one enter into the Vaikuntha, spiritual planetary systems, or into Goloka, the highest planet in the universe. And then he lists all the 4 armed expansions we have already discussed that. So, now, what I would like to do is asking for some questions. You can also, if you like, you put it in the chat in writing, or you just raise your hand, or you just unmute your microphone, and you ask. Questions. Then we can explain a little bit more according to the question. Any questions, not only those connected with what we have discussed tonight, but any other questions about Krishna consciousness. Who's going to start the questions? Don't feel shy. Someone? If nobody comes forward with questions, I will pick on you.
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Actually, thank you for your wonderful class. So in Bhagavad Gītā, chapter 7, verse 28, Krishna says that, I'm just reading the translation also here, that persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service in determination. And in the portion of Prabhupada writes that Krishna gives the eligibility of how eligibility criteria, which I mean, eligibility criteria for devotional service. So, Prabhuji, my question was, it was a bit confusing because we have heard that bhakti does not depend on any previous karma or anything like that. But here, the Lord says that one who has acted piously and got freed from all sinful reactions, they can engage themselves in the service. So I was thinking, like, is there any, and am I missing any point in the sense? This is one that as if, like, bhakti is dependent on one becoming purified. But in another sense, it says the bhakti itself is the purificatory process. And even if people are, like, living entities, sinful to the topmost degree, if one, practices Krishna consciousness, gradually he or she gets purified. So I was just confused there.
Okay, what's the Sanskrit? I'm trying to remember. It's a very famous verse.
Yeah, yasyāntaḥ-sthāni
Oh, yes, yes.
that one.
Vidvanta moha nirmukta.
Yes. Bhajante mam dribhaka.
It's a very interesting question, Return Prabhu. It's a seemingly contradiction between deserve and desire, right? Bhakti is free and independent, but we as living entities, we must have also some adhikar. That's known as adhikar. We must have some eligibility, depending on, I mean, this verse explains after the piousness. Read the translation again, Richard.
Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination.
So one could ask the question, and the question has been asked, pious life, what is it? The disciples have asked Srila Prabhupada on exactly that same verse. How come we are engaged in the highest activity in this material world? Bhakti. But it says those who have acted piously in previous lives. But we have not acted any piously. We don't have any pious activity. We come from backgrounds of meat eating, intoxication, woman hunting, gambling, all the sinful activities you can only imagine. We have done it all. So how come we have taken to Krishna consciousness? The verse says, so have acted piously in previous lives and this life, but we have not acted piously in previous lives, this life, certainly not in this life. So, no, that's same questions. So what did Srila Prabhupada answer? Very interesting answer. We must have some pious credit. That's what Lord Krishna says in the Gita. But we cannot see any piety in our lives. So Srila Prabhupada said, I have created your pious credit. Wow. Srila Prabhupada created the pious credit. How? By engaging you in chanting Hare Krishna. What a beautiful answer is that. By engaging you in chanting Hare Krishna, I have created immediately a pious credit. It's not an ordinary thing of chanting Hare Krishna. It's explained in Shastra, even one who once chants Hare Krishna, who says Hare Krishna, he should be regarded as a Vaishnava, as a devotee. So Srila Prabhupada engaged his disciples and engaged us as well by reading the books and through devotees who inspires us, engaged us to chant Hare Krishna. And in this way, he has created our adhikar, he has created our pious activities immediately. So that gives a little bit of a slant on that verse. Yes, we must have some pious credits, and if we engage in chanting Hare Krishna, then pious credit is immediately there. Mehul, you want to say something?
Yes, I would like to add something to this.
Yeah, first let's see. Return Prabhu is said. Give you some answer.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Even in the purport, I think Prabhupada has said the same thing that you mentioned in this example, how Prabhupada explained to his disciples. Because in the second paragraph, Prabhupada, basically steers us towards that. He mentions that if one actually wants to be liberated, he must render service to the devotees, bhat sevam. But one who associates with materialist persons will go to darkest region. All the devotees of the Lord traverse this earth just to recover the conditioned souls from their delusion. So I think that's what Prabhupada was hinting, and the example that you gave perfectly fits with it. The Prabhupada, other devotees, the pure devotees are there to give us the Sukriti.
Isn't that wonderful? That is, we may not be at that stage that we have dedicated our lives of just helping other living entities to become God conscious. But that gradually, after years and years engagement in devotional service, we will come to that stage. At the moment, we may just struggle with our senses and the mind to keep them under control, but that is not the final stage of Krishna consciousness. It goes on, and the purification, if we keep the chanting going. And Srila Prabhupada made that point. Whatever happens in your life, never stop chanting Hare Krishna. So many things may happen. We may fall from the path, but never stop chanting Hare Krishna, because then you will be in a safe position. We will be in a safe position. So that's the power of the Mahamantra. So powerful that it can not only destroy our sinful activities, our ignorance, but it creates pious karma, so to speak. That's a side effect. That's not the goal to chanting. Some may chant Hare Krishna to get some material benefit. Pious activity is a material benefit. We are not after pious activity. No. Pious activity will elevate us to the higher planetary systems, Svarga, to the planet of Lord Indra, and so on, where we can enjoy for 10 and hundreds of thousands of years an enjoyment which is not known on this earthly planet. It's so much superior enjoyment, we cannot even think of it. Many, even devotees, are secretly aspiring of going to the heavenly planets and having a good time. But after enjoying the heavenly planets, 10,000 years also pass. Then they have to come back to this earthly planet. So what has been achieved? Nothing. Just a waste of time. So devotional service bhakti is not meant for creating pious activities. That's a pious karma. That's a side show. That's a sideshow. Just like yoga is not meant for mystic powers. That's a side effect. Yoga is meant for linking with Krishna, for seeing the Paramatma, for having the darshan of that Paramatma. That's yoga. For becoming God realized, for becoming Krishna conscious. So the goal of bhakti is to develop love for Krishna. That's the ultimate goal of bhakti. Nothing else. We're not being sidetracked by pious activity, by enjoying in the heavenly planets. No. We, like in Bhagavad Gītā and Gopkumar, there was many temptations. Stay in Jnana Loka, stay in Tapa Loka, stay in Mahaloka, stay in one of the layers covering the universe. Stay there, stay for some time at least. No. He wanted to see his mother and Gopal, so he went. He was propelled, he wasn't sidetracked. Oh, he went higher and higher and higher. Then he came to Vaikuntha, to Ayodhya, to Dwarka, and finally to Goloka. And then he was satisfied. Only that. So that's a real goal of bhakti, to develop love for Krishna. Okay, Mehul, you have a question.
So,
Come closer to your microphone.
I'm saying I would like to add something to this. So now we have three kind of karmas. One is the sanchita karma, that is accumulated karmas. That is like all our previous life, whatever we've done. According to that, we are born in a certain family. And then we have our destiny karma, that is your prarabdha karma, that is your destiny. This is what you're supposed to do. But that destiny is susceptible to the kriyamana or agami karma. That is your free will, that you will get a choice whether you should become a devotee or you should not become a devotee. So with the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna has sent their Senapati, as it is called. Like Prabhupada is the Senapati of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna. That Prabhupada has made Harinam available to everyone from anybody who is from any part of the world has got now access to the holy name as predicted already by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So now this is the opportunity where Prabhuji, Gauranga Prabhu was talking at. This is the fate, this is the pious activity that Prabhupada has created for us, that he has made this available so freely that anybody who just has some pious activity done in the past life gets a choice whether to become a devotee or to not become a devotee. And those who select, using their free will, those who select to become a devotee, they are saved and they attain the supreme love of Krishna.
Thank you. Very nicely said, Mehul. Hare Krishna.
Join the Bhakti podcast with deep insights into all matters spiritual. Like and subscribe to keep up to date with your inner self.